Hello everybody and welcome to the inaugural episode of Speed Reading, the Gotta Go podcast featuring Sonic the Comic. Before we get going, I just need to let you all know that there will be audio issues pretty much from the get-go. Just want to take this moment to thank Sam Palmer for giving us a backup as the very reason why you're even getting this episode. All I can say is, blame the Irish.
Hello, ladies and gentlebots. Welcome to yet another. I tried to retire, goddammit. I did. I tried. It failed. But here's another project that has been sitting in the Old Oilhouse's giant vocabulary for some time now. Something that's been in the stacks, waiting for its time to shine. Welcome to Speed Reading. I, as always, am Gruffy, your somewhat host for this, and I have with me three men who have plunged the very depths of Mobian knowledge to be with you this night. We shall start over here with the Irish legend himself. It's Chris McFeely.
Hey, yeah, it is. Hi, how are we all doing? Sonic the Hedgehog, what? Yeah, what is it? This is 1993 or something? I'm really excited to do this. I'm all Sonic on the brain again this week after Sonic Mania.
Shut up, I haven't played it yet.
I've only played a copy like when I was around a friend's house. I don't actually have it yet, but yeah. It's got me all. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm all excited.
And also with us tonight is the head of the social side of the Oilhouse. It's Matt Clarke.
Just so you know, I mean, Super Mario was quite a phenomenon in gaming, and
Boo.
Sorry, that's not what we're here for. Oh, crap. Oh, right, yeah, okay. It was something I used to read. Yeah, it is me. I'm pretty much. Well, we'll talk about stuff in a moment. I'm rambling. I'm also very tired. I need some coffee. Move on, Adam.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to the hallucinations as they begin. And finally, we have a voice to the Oilhouse, which I don't believe has turned up more than once before in the past. It is Sam Palmer.
I am an enigma to the Oilhouse, apparently. But yes, Sonic the Hedgehog. He's cool. He has to move quickly.
Would you say he's a blue streak?
I would say so.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
He's got an attitude, Sonic. The fastest thing alive. So saying he's got an attitude makes it seem like a stroppy teenager. Like, Sonic, Tails has been kidnapped by Robotnik. And he's like, oh, really? Again? Oh, God. Wasn't he?
It's not that far removed from where we're going to start out here today.
That's very true.
What's really far removed from this is when he finds his brother and sister and he goes on a pact to go find his mother.
I will burn you until you're dead.
He does wear some attire during the course of this comic book run, you know. It's when he starts wearing the medallions you've really got to worry, Adam.
No.
Really worry.
No.
Let's draw a veil over that.
And if you want some continuity, if this was a comic book you were indulging in right now, there would be a little thing underneath the panel there during Adam's tirade there to explain why he's having a tirade. Go on to the lock-in of a few years back where you have a nice commentary about Sonic Underground.
It lies. Their mother was never found.
It had a good theme song.
Yeah.
It had a great theme song. Which lied to you.
We're on the intro of the very first episode, and we already have like tie-in continuity to check out before you listen.
Yeah, episode 0.1, because there was like a 0.2 that we did years ago as well. That's how I like this comic.
But you did it without me. God.
Technically 0.3, because me and Adam also did a Sonic OVA commentary.
Yeah, that's not real. That's not a Sonic OVA. What's that? No, Sonic the comic. That's where it's at.
So let's get this thing going before we get crushed under the weight of our own histories. Chris, we'll start with you. Where did you come to Sonic the Comic originally? What are your thoughts about Sonic the Comic? I know we went through a little bit in episode 0.1 way back
or whichever.
when. Yeah. But I'm interested to know from this point, before we get into the nitty-gritty of these episodes, I want to know your feelings, thoughts on what Sonic the Comic was and what it meant to you when you were reading it as a child.
Well, it's funny. I've just realized if I'm going to host next week's the next episode, it's fitting because that one, our next episode, will begin with the issue that I began with.
You tell people too much, McFeely. We were going to tell them that at the end of the show.
Okay, well, we can edit that out if you want, but
no, I like it.
It fits with it's a coincidence, but yeah, I started with issue 6, so these first 5 that we're going to look at today were the stuff that I didn't see back in the day. I only discovered it, going back and rereading the whole catalog years later, and that's probably a good thing. Because I don't know if I'd have hung around. But we'll get to that. No, Sonic the Comic is something I can say I think was... It's particularly significant to me because I think it was the first thing that I would say I was really a fan of, in the sense that what we mean as a fan when we say we're a fan of something now. It wasn't just something I liked when I was quote-unquote a child. It was something that I came into it as a teenager, or I was just about what were we talking about, 93?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, the cusp of my teenage years. It was something I went into, and I went into hard. It's the first thing that I would say I was a real... fan of, something I made a conscious decision to go out and buy for myself as opposed to something that my parents bought for me, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I followed it until I foolishly thought I was too old for it and stopped about halfway through the length of the original strip. So
would you say then that you probably stopped buying it when you had the superhero pastiches starting up in... I'm trying to remember the name of the storyline.
That's the Special Zone stuff with Lord
Cyber
and everything. No, a little bit before that. Return of Chaotix was my last one. I can remember the last story because I waited out the end of this 6-part story, The Return of Chaotix, and it was the big finale of the Metallixes as well. So the Metallixes were and are my MVPs from Sonic the Comic. Things like the Sonic Terminator, which we'll come to later, that defined my summer that year because it was the only game that I was never able to play when I was younger because we didn't have a Mega CD. So I was able to experience things like Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, but I could never experience Sonic CD. So that was also part of what this comic was about, was granting me this little window into the stories of games that I could only otherwise read reviews of in magazines or anything.
Mm-hmm. All right. Matt, let's go to you next. Tell me about your Sonic the Comic history.
I first discovered Sonic the Comic, and I think we brought this up in the previous lock-in of years ago.
Do you want to know how many years ago?
No, I do not.
Do you want me to bring that up? Do you really want me to bring that up? It was 24 years ago now.
No, I was actually reading it how long ago we did that lock-in.
Oh, that was years ago. That was about 5 years ago now.
Yep, 5 years ago.
Yeah, wow. So, just to recap, I was always a Sega fan, but didn't have a Mega Drive yet. So I went to a friend of mine's place, Mark Pedroso, if he's listening. He probably won't be. But he had a Master System. So we were playing the equivalent of Sonic 2, which was Sonic Chaos, or was it Sonic? It was on the Master System anyway.
No, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Master System.
Yeah,
Sonic Chaos was Sonic 3.
Sonic 3, there we go. So we were playing that on the Master System, and it was me, him, and another friend called Craig Breslin, who is a huge fan of Sonic, and Sonic the Comic in particular, but he's also very not internet savvy.
So that's why I'm here and not him. He brought an issue of Sonic the Comic while we were playing Sonic Chaos at Mark's place. And most of my favourite memories of that was reading this comic, and in particular reading the reviews of games in between the strips, whilst Mark was getting really upset at not being able to play Sonic very well.
A man after my own heart.
And us basically laughing when we could do the levels he could not. I have not got that great ability anymore. I suck massively at Sonic the Hedgehog games, but I don't care. They're fun. At the time, I wasn't really that interested in the strips, but as I said, I really liked the reviews in between. I actually liked the backup strips more at the time. I liked Golden Axe and especially Streets of Rage and Kid Chameleon. But then I started reading more back issues off of Craig when we were at school together. And some things just really drew me in. The fact that animals were being treated as organic batteries for the badniks. You know, they actually went into details. Stuff like the Second Life. Stuff like Sonic, Super Sonic being a freaking psychopath. You know, all kinds of these story traits that you just don't get in any other kind of Sonic fiction. And I never read the entire run all the way through. In fact, I was pretty much done after they dropped all the backup strips. But I was basically, through my conversations with you, Gruff. Hello. Hi. I learned to really get invested into this main storyline. I'll be honest, I'll probably be the one guy here with the least amount of knowledge and foresight here. But I consider this a learning experience. I get to relearn something that I base myself purely on nostalgia and nothing else. And that's pretty much the story of how I first came across this comic. That's it.
Right. Mr. Sam.
I'm just trying to remember, actually. I was always, well, still am, a massive gamer as a kid. Had an NES originally, then my brother got a Mega Drive for his birthday one year. That came with Sonic 2 packed in. It was a Mega Drive 2. And then he got Sonic 3 for Christmas and Sonic and Knuckles. And so we had all the original Mega Drive Sonic games. So we were just super, super addicted to them. But I was also reading a lot of other gaming magazines. So like Games Master, like Mean Machines, Sega, Nintendo Magazine System, and all stuff like that. And I think in one of those there was an advert for Sonic the Comic coming soon. I seem to recall that. Because I basically started picking it up from issue 1. I remember it came with this terrible plastic belt clip thing that broke instantly.
I remember Mean Machine Sega actually had the first half of the first issue of Sonic the Comic. They gave it out as a freebie. It was the first story, and then each page afterwards was a page of the backup strips to give you an idea of what the comic was going to look like.
Yeah, they were like one page.
Yeah,
pin-ups essentially, weren't they? It was like Golden Axe coming soon, Kid Wonder Boy coming soon. Yeah. I think that must be where I first saw it then in Mean Machine Sega. So I just really wanted issue 1, and then we used to go to my nan's every Sunday, and on the corner of our street she had a little paper shop, and she'd always give us a couple of pence, usually about 50p or whatever, to go down to the paper shop and buy some sweets. And I think that week I had the pocket money as well, so I remember buying the first issue of Sonic the Comic, and I was just obsessed with Sonic. Like, me and my brother were just obsessed with everything Sonic, because I think the cartoon show started around the same time, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, I loved that as a kid. Absolutely loved that.
It's just boys.
Oh, everything is. I've tried to watch it since, and I watch a lot of like terrible stuff, but watching that again, it's like, how did I like this as a child?
Because you were sitting there with cereal covered in sugar and just staring at the bright colours and noise.
Well, if it was 1993, I would have been 9. So I was kind of, I guess, the age they were aiming for with it. But I remember there being like Sonic the Hedgehog crisps, like corn snacks. And there was the Pepsi branded Sonic cans, and anything that had Sonic on it, I wanted it kind of, in around my face, pretty much.
I do not remember Pepsi.
I think it could have been Fanta or Tango or one of those, but it was like a can with Sonic on it.
I don't remember it, but I don't need any proof to be convinced that exists, because that whatever it was, it existed. I'm 100% sure of it. It was Sonic. It was the 90s.
So because of that, like obviously just we love Sonic anyway, so there was just something else with Sonic on it that we could go out and buy. I actually remember buying issue 3 specifically because they used to sell it literally around the corner from where I used to live with my parents. There was a little corner shop, and they used to sell it in there. And that's where I used to get it from. Like, got the first one at my nan's, and then the second issue I got there. Went round there for the third issue, being allowed round the corner on my own at 9, different times, and they sold out. So I actually remember sneaking further away to a different shop to get it, and then getting home and my mum being like, "Where have you been? You've been in a long time." I was like, "I had to go to the other shop to get it," and getting grounded for a week and not being able to read it because I snuck too far away to buy it.
Love it.
Yeah, I remember specifically that being issue 3. But yeah, I don't remember exactly making a conscious decision to stop buying it, but I think it was relatively early on. I think it was probably around issue 35 or 40. Just one week I didn't pick it up, and then just never thought to pick it up again. But I do remember being in like the big Tesco's and seeing like later issues and flicking through them, and be like, oh, it's Sonic Adventure based now, and like super late on in the run. And so I've always kind of had like a wanting to catch up with it kind of thing. So I guess this podcast, if nothing else, is going to be a good opportunity for me to kind of pick up what happened with it and like remembering the earlier stuff and seeing where it moved on.
That's pretty much the same with me as well. I did the same thing you did, but it was W.H. Smith's. Back in those days, I mean, I'd pick it up, flick it through. I realised that near the end, though, it shared a similar fate with the old Transformers comic, where it was basically a victim of its own success. It was one of the highest-selling titles, and yet they had to cut the budget on it, so it was doing reprints for an awful lot of its latter life.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when it started, but up to a point, it was just there was only the lead Sonic strip, and then the three backup strips were reprints, and that was after they'd even jettisoned the idea of reprinting the other Sega properties. You know, I mean, as the comic went on, of course, as we'll talk about it over the course of the series, the backup strips transitioned from being based on other Sega games to being based on the members of Sonic's supporting cast and his world. But yeah, after a point, it was just one Sonic lead strip, and then after a while of that, the book went to full reprint for the last, I want to say, it's
3-4 years. Yeah, it's quite a long time.
Was it as long as 3 or 4 years? Well, I suppose you're probably right. Yeah, because the last story was the Sonic Adventure themed story. What's that? 99?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the book ran to like 2003. So yeah, in the last couple of years,
wow.
Maybe.
Didn't realise it went on that long.
I know. Well, when everybody stopped paying attention after that, you know.
Yes.
Well, I suppose I don't know exactly when the Sonic Adventure story ran, but yeah, I wanted to say it was. I'm sure it transitioned off from if it was fortnight. Maybe could have been the last 50 issues were all reprint.
Yeah, it'd be about that. But yeah.
I guess Sonic interest was kind of waning at that point anyway because of the Sega Saturn didn't have a Sonic game and kind of bombed, and the Dreamcast obviously had Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, but it wasn't an incredibly popular system.
Now, that is something I really would be interested in finding out through the ways, because, of course, Sonic Adventure, everything you knew about Sonic the Hedgehog was turned in its head in the general media of things. Because, of course, now it was all on Earth. And Dr. Robotnik is Dr. Eggman. Everybody got different names and attitudes and characteristics. And then you got Sonic the Comic going into that world. So it'll be interesting to see how they tackled that, because the main meat and potatoes of Sonic the Comic is very much etched in its own lore.
And I think that's a pretty great transition.
I think it is as well. Let's get going then. Let's hit the first ever issue of Sonic the Comic.
Are we going to go through these one after the other? Just
We are, yeah, because there's no overriding arc for these, so we'll just hit them. So the first episode is Enter Sonic. and we are introduced to the planet Mobius, to Green Hill Zone, and in a very, very quick... Actually, my apologies. The script is by Alan Mackenzie, the art is by Anthony Williams, and the lettering is by Tom Frame. Much to my annoyance, the lettering is not by Tom B. Long. Bit of an old joke for you.
And it's all fairly adequate.
Definitely exists.
Yep.
Tom Frame is in this creative team. Tom Frame is the one with the most notoriety.
Yeah.
He's the one that was freaking everywhere in British comics.
Yep.
Well, it's actually quite interesting about this first issue. Before we get into it proper, Chris actually mentioned it a couple of days ago. The basis for Sonic the Comic doesn't really come around for about 6-7 issues.
Yeah, this is the unique thing about it. It's not unique, but yeah.
This very much stays within the Stay Sonic. Stays within Stay Sonic.
We say Stay Sonic, but Stay Sonic is how you read Stay Sonic, right? I know I read Stay Sonic. Yes. You guys read Stay Sonic? Yes. Stay Sonic was a little handbook that was published in the UK, which came out sometime after Sonic 2, and it was what introduced me, and I imagine a lot of UK kids, pre-Sonic the Comic anyway, to the standard Sonic origin story, the formerly brown hedgehog that turns blue when he helps Dr. O.V. Kintobor experiment with super speed, only for, Kintobor to become Robotnik in a Chaos Emerald machine accident.
Spoilers, God.
Yeah, I know, right? But this stuff wasn't invented for that. It was created by Sega of America, or to some extent. There were a couple of revisions of the story, and there was some mini-comic published in America that followed the same basic story. And this was where the idea of the planet Mobius came from, and this whole story was about taking the, and this I've said this before. I know I said this in all those years ago, but this is the thing about that lore and Stay Sonic and leading into Sonic the Comic, which was in comparison to the Archie Sonic comic, or either of the two Sonic cartoons from the 90s. This was very much about taking the world of the games and just putting it on the page. Yeah. Rings, badniks containing animals, Chaos Emeralds, special zones, star posts, what else? Just spin attacks, monitors. All those things were as opposed to the Archie stuff or the adventure stuff, which was just a kind of loose adaptation that took the very basic concept of a blue hedgehog and a robot creating mad scientists fighting one another on planet Mobius. This lore was about the games as we saw them and telling stories in that world, and it's become primarily associated with Sonic the Comic because of Sonic the Comic's longevity, but it wasn't actually created for Sonic the Comic. And in fact, this first issue it's almost to its detriment the way it's just kind of a checklist of the features of the Green Hill Zone.
Yes. Yeah. If you can ever find a copy, it's worth a read.
Oh, it was it laid down so much of the. It's really funny because as somebody from the UK who had this as his first exposure, it was never then contradicted by anything significantly. The cartoons were their own thing, but what cartoon that had a comic wasn't in some way different to the comic, But then to go from Stay Sonic into Sonic the Comic, or if you read any of the Martin Adams novels that Virgin published in the 90s, Sonic the Hedgehog in the Fourth Dimension, fantastic, formative novel, gave me high interest in fourth dimensional storytelling. It was all the Kintobor origin stuff. This is and was and still is in my mind the true Sonic story. Yeah, it'll never be overwritten by anything. And that's just a product of my upbringing.
Yeah,
I'm not willfully ignorant. I know that's not what it was like in Japan, but the Japanese version of the story could not be less interesting to me.
Well, do you know why Stay Sonic came about?
Not offhand, no.
It's quite a fun story. Basically, Sega asked for Sonic the Hedgehog's backstory, all the sort of fluff that went with the game, and Sega in Japan went,
yeah.
So they sent over some stuff. And it was all about Christmas Island. Sonic's a hedgehog. He lives on Christmas Island. They hadn't taken all the stuff about Madonna out just yet. So if you ever know about Sonic's girlfriend, Madonna, I'm so sorry. But
Yeah, like there was some very like the earliest revisions of this had him living under a hedge outside a fast food restaurant, like a normal hedgehog or something. It was weird, you know.
Yeah, and of course Robotnik was based on. He was actually going to be the hero of the game originally, and was based on Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes.
Brilliant. But yes, so Sega Japan just kind of went, he's a hedgehog, lives on Christmas Island. Ching. And so Sega of America knew that they had to do something to try and create the a more concrete base to try and get people interested in. So that's where Mobius comes from. It's where Kinterball comes from, all that type of thing. So as far as I'm aware, it was written really quick. It was like a couple of weeks. So getting into the issue itself, and of course we have somebody with us who is going to tell us exactly who has done all of the work on every issues. Haven't we, Sam?
What?
This is your lot in life, Samuel.
I wrote down the names of the artists, not necessarily the writers, unless I thought it was interesting. Because I was more into the art of the strips. Obviously, being somewhat an artist myself, I wanted to make sure I knew who was drawing stuff, and mostly to make fun of it.
At this stage, absolutely.
It does get a lot better later on.
Oh, yeah.
Including one of the artists in one of the first issues we're going to look at today, drew one of my favourite issues that looks absolutely stunning and on model and perfect. But we'll get to that obviously when we come to it.
Yeah.
But I guess we're going straight into issue 1. So I think you said earlier it was drawn by Anthony Williams.
It was, with a script by Alan McKenzie and lettering by Tom Frame. So the first issue is Enter Sonic. We are introduced to the planet Mobius. Sonic, in his way of showing off what planet Mobius looks like, is running through the Green Hill Zone, smashing a badnik, letting out the organic batteries. But elsewhere, a sinister figure watches. And there's egg puns.
Out of the gate.
How exasperating. That hard-boiled blue blur has escaped my badniks again. But I, Dr. Robotnik, genius, extraordinary, have a plan to fix that meddling hedgehog for good. Not to mention, conquer the world.
You know, as ropey and prototypical as these stories are, they pretty much had their mission statement for Robotnik from page 1, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
God, yes. The thing is, Robotnik's funny. Robotnik has always been funny, especially in these things. And I quite like the not to mention conquer the world.
Secondary concern.
Yeah, he'd rather kill Sonic first than actually do anything serious. Mm-hmm. I want to kill a small woodland creature before I go after world domination.
So Robotnik's machine is a giant mechanical creation that will take all of the rings, the golden rings of Mobius, to fuel itself. It is an engine of destruction. It will be unstoppable. It will pollute the atmosphere of Mobius for 1,000 years and crush Sonic into a million itty-bitty hedgehog nuggets.
I really like the first panel of page 2 where Robotnik is going to explain his plan, where he's just like, yeah, Robotnik!
I've got a plan!
He's like, woo! His arms are up in the air, he's loving it.
It's no wonder that they did go on to change the... He wasn't a very artist-friendly design, was he? There was no menace. There was no menace in the original Robotnik design. It's not that I'm saying there was a lot of menace in the secondary Robotnik design, but it didn't do artists any favours, the original design.
No.
But even Richard Elson never really made it look great.
But he hatches later on into a new form. He's like a Dragon Ball Z villain.
He coincidentally looks just like the one from The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, but that's probably a different story.
Yeah.
On model.
We're going to talk about that when we get to it, I think.
Oh, yes.
I have things to say when that happens. I actually kind of like this panel with Robotnik when you're first introduced to him. That giant grin, those black eyes. It's when he stands up and you see how cuddly he is. That's when it goes a bit wrong.
He's like,
yeah, there was room to work with the face for artists. I can remember some nice Elson shots of the face, and that's a particularly great one. It's like something off the cover of a metal album or something.
Yeah,
but once you get below the neck. Not that he has a neck.
What I always found weird is that not very often did they ever give him his little blue glasses.
No.
It's just a weird one. Yeah. So Sonic hears
hollow black eyes of death.
Yes, it is. But then again, going back to Mean Machine Sega, whenever Mean Machine Sega did a poster of Robotnik, the Sonic stuff, it was always the black eyes. They never had the glasses. It's an odd one. Sonic hears about the machine, decides it's not going to take much time to stop, but Robotnik has a plan. That plan is to throw all of the badniks at him.
Throw the game at him, basically.
Yeah.
Here's the robots! Spikes! Rock falls! No! Oh, the game is happening!
And a little purple rabbit tells Sonic it's a trap, and a chicken tells him that Robotnik's machine will eat you up, and a little birdie tells him
And
he's
E.T.
waiting for you
tells
up
him.
ahead. So, yeah.
Yeah, just any little birdie, Adam. It's a blue birdie. It's Flicky.
It's not a Flicky because the Flickies haven't arrived yet.
Its name is Flicky. It's not a Flicky. He's Flicky.
Yeah.
The purple rabbit who's gesturing to Sonic is the worst drawn thing I think I've ever seen.
What, do you mean Proto Johnny Lightfoot?
It's his eyes. Why are his eyes so odd? It's
They
like
are
the artist drew out of a
bad.
train.
But it's going to get worse before we get to the end of these fights.
Do you know what this is? It's because Sonic's on speed and you're looking at things in field.
It's from Sonic's eyes.
Everything's all green and yellow and purple and orange.
We're going to get into the more interesting stuff that happens in this issue once we've completed the overview of the issue. But there is one thing I do have to point out. I feel so sorry for that little obelisk that's just sitting there. It's all of his friends have been popped, and he's just staring at Sonic with those sad eyes.
Oh.
And immediately underneath it, Sonic appears to be needing the toilet quite badly. So Sonic says that he'll be there before Robotnik knows it. Robotnik hasn't reckoned with the world's fastest hedgehog, and then the game begins. Rockfall, air attack, spin attack, bop bop boppity bop. He then falls, saves Porker Lewis. I just want to point out, knowing what we know later on in these comics, Poor Porker starts as he means to go on.
Yeah.
That panel where he's just like, that's Sonic. He's my hero. It's just like the best thing ever.
It is. It's a genuinely cute and amusing moment in a rather otherwise sort of less a story and more of a checklist.
Yeah.
It's kind of really randomly fourth wall breaking as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Of course, Porker Lewis, the Samuel Tarly of Sonic the Hedgehog, he can't possibly lose.
He's more like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, constantly kidnapped.
Well, I never got why was he named after Parker Lewis?
Because it's a pun,
But
Chris.
what's the
It's
point?
because
of the
he
pun?
can't lose.
Because
he does constantly and repeatedly,
let's just,
thoroughly even.
Chris, let's look at things at face value here. Porker Lewis was never meant to amount to anything, and he became a fan favourite. That's how it happened. It was just a silly throwaway character with a stupid, dumb pun.
Well, I mean, that's a point actually is that Porker Lewis, Johnny Lightfoot, all these other characters, these aren't Sonic the Comic original things either. These were all the original Sega lower Stay Sonic names for the animal characters. Clucks, Tux, Chirps, Joe Sushi. And again, Sonic the Comic made them who they are.
Yeah. So Sonic finds the machine. Too late, Spikeball. Looks like it's game over for you and your precious rings. Sonic uses the spin attack, hits the machine with the force of a cannon shell. The effect is shattering.
That's a really nice piece of art, too.
It actually is.
I don't mean it by comparison. It's a genuinely nice sort of something 2000 AD-ish sort of.
It makes me think of ABC Warriors.
And then the rest of this is just so
Weird.
rough and so much of it seems to be actively lifted from stock model sheet poses or something.
Yeah.
My general feeling of this is I think it was done on the quick.
Oh,
It was-
Oh, yeah.
It was really just belted out as quick as possible. It was probably actually, ironically, for a title called Sonic the Comic, probably the most least thought through strip in the entire magazine.
I mean, because everything else that was in this first issue was literally the first chapter of a 6-part serial.
Yeah.
I mean, to give this credit, it does end on a continued next issue type thing, but
well, it stops. It doesn't really end.
Yeah.
Over. Bye.
One thing I will add before we continue on is the colorist in this strip is both to the detriment and to the enhancement of the art of this strip. Because, my God, sometimes it just like everything else here, it feels rushed, and then sometimes some of the panels here are just goddamn beautiful.
It's
clearly a felt tip job.
Not a good idea. Yeah.
It does look like felt tips, doesn't it?
It looks like pro markers to me.
I think it honestly looks like it's something they gave somebody to do. Say, look, you're an intern here. You do art, and they gave him a whole bunch of artists' pens, and he basically went to work on it. That's what it looks like to me. It honestly
think
that
a separate colorist or anything.
Well, it might be the same artist, but
It
either way,
just says art by Anthony Williams. There isn't a colorist listed, so I'm assuming he just did it himself.
I honestly think it was something they threw at him to say, right, here's your chance.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there.
I mean, I don't know Anthony Williams, but...
No. So this story finishes off with, double blast that blue boar. Doesn't he have any respect for property? And then, never mind. I have an even bigger surprise ready for him. So everyone then wants to go and party, but Sonic can't stop and party. He's looking for Tails. Hasn't heard from him in days. Got a feeling he's in big trouble. Gotta go see you around.
I get the impression that these things were written in after the fact.
You're probably right, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if this was done in the old Marvel style.
No, I think it was probably scripted, but I could say they would just add like a little reference to... Well, I don't know. Sonic's definitely going somewhere for something, so maybe the Tails thing. I don't know. It's hard to say. But it doesn't, the next one doesn't, even though it's obviously supposed to be following on from this, it doesn't really follow on from it.
No, it doesn't. So, that's the first story from issue 1. Thoughts? What are your thoughts on this wonderful piece of art?
Checklist.
As Chris said, it's a checklist of, hey, this is all the stuff that makes Sonic the Hedgehog work. Welcome to Sonic the Hedgehog. This is totally an introduction to Sonic the Hedgehog and what he does and what Robotnik's about. I'll just say again, it feels rushed. It feels like the most least thought of the entire magazine, and it feels like it was something they threw at a creative team that probably were just starting to break out, maybe even interns. And they said, right, this is your chance. And that's all I can say about it. It's there, it does its job, then you move on to the rest of the magazine.
Sam?
Yeah, it feels very much like it's establishing, like, hey, this is Sonic, but it kind of expects you to already be familiar with the characters and stuff. And it just kind of, as Chris said, it's a checklist of stuff that you should already know, and just kind of laying out, like, hey, this is Sonic, this is Robotnik. Cool, let's go. You know who they are already.
It's really just a checklist of points. It's like one of my favorite things about Sonic the Comic is that, as I say, it's about presenting the world of the games on the comic book page, but not to this extent. There's a very perfunctory story happening here, but, the story stops for 2 or 3 pages in the middle to just run through all the features of the Green Hill Zone, from rock falls to buzz bombers to going up ramps to falling into spikes.
Yep. It's there. That's the best thing I can say about it. It is certainly
It is very much just here's Sonic.
Yeah.
It's like the sort of thing you might do for a promo comic if it was all you were ever going to do with Sonic. It feels very much like the sort of thing that you might get packed in with the video game.
Yeah, yeah. This first one always makes me think that they had some guys from the Beano just come over to get things started. That's not to say anything bad about the Beano, but
no.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think this guy ever wrote any more strips.
No.
Mackenzie. I know he's written for 2000 AD, but I don't think he would write anything again. And then of course, we come into the second one, and we get a... You wouldn't believe the writer if I told you, readers.
Well, we're going to say...
No. The first issue, that could be a pen name, or the guy's continued on, but using a pen name. We don't know. It's just one of those
I think
things.
Alan McKenzie is a different person.
Before we move on, I would just like to say that one of the reviews here gave the Flintstones video game an 85%, which is one of the highest most of the reviews here.
You see, they had us indoctrinated to believe that less than an 8 was bad from a very young age.
Sorry, I totally took over there. Sorry, Guff, move on.
So, if you had a scale of 1 to 10, how off-model does Sonic look in this first issue?
First issue? It's so traced from models, it does never seem particularly off-model.
Because going into the second Sonic the Hedgehog story...
Oh my god.
Now, you want to talk about an intern or something.
So, Sonic the Wombat has appeared. So, jeez. I'm just looking at it, and it's just awful.
To be honest, this isn't bad compared to what we're going to see later on.
Yeah.
I know, but it's infuriating me because his head is so weird. He looks so scared of everything.
Also, the colour is done by Felt Tip again, and oh dear. Oh dear.
The first panel of page 1 with the terrible foreshortening where he's just got one giant shoe that appears to be on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Just the eyes. Whenever you see him from the side, he makes me think of the T-1000. He looks so liquidy. But yes, so who wrote this one? Who wants to take that answer?
Oh, this was written by Mark Miller.
Everyone's got to start somewhere.
From this to Kingsman. That was his progression.
Actually, no, in this first page, you can definitely see it's Mark Miller.
Because his name is on the page.
No. You've got, hey you, what's going on here? Where is everybody? Please don't hurt me. I'll do anything you want. Yep, that's Mark Miller. So, Sonic appears back in Green Hill Zone after leaving Green Hill Zone last issue.
He's just gone off to run through Green Hill Zone.
Yeah, well, he's just got back from the Marble Zone.
Apparently, yeah. And this is why I say these things don't seem like they were written to follow on from one another.
No. Although I do quite like, Tails isn't here anymore, mister. Nobody is.
I do. No one knows who Sonic is. Mister, that's Sonic the Hedgehog. You're going to know who he is, surely. He just saved you in the previous issue.
The artist's name is Woodrow Phoenix. Mm-hmm. That's not a real name.
That's a pub.
There is there's an issue later in the run that we're going to be talking about today, whose art is also by Woodrow Phoenix, that looks completely different.
Mm-hmm. But Woodrow Phoenix did. I got him mixed up with another artist. I was like, didn't Woodrow Phoenix do good art later in the series? And I was thinking of someone else entirely. But he did write Echo the Dolphin.
Oh.
Based on what I have looked up today. But yeah, maybe he should have stuck with the writing because yikes!
I'm sorry, I really am, but.
No, you don't have to be sorry.
Oof.
It's friggin' terrible. It's like, who said this was okay? Who allowed this?
Well, I think what we'll do is with each episode that goes up, we'll stick a couple of panels up on the site just so people can see what we're talking about.
It's got to be, like, you got to pick one good bit of art from these things and one diabolical bit of art. I know that's hard. I know that's really
Later
hard.
it will be, but not this time.
But do it. Just do it.
I mean, UK comics, kids UK comics in particular, have always lived in this weird space. This weird, or certainly I should say not really so much now, but back then, did live in this weird stylistic space where you could have incredible art one issue, and then the next week, somebody, the guy they keep in the cupboard in the office would fill in.
Come on, Woodrow, it's time to draw again. Yes, master.
Just wheel him out.
Of course.
Bring out the Woodrow's sleeping.
I'm hoping Woodrow Phoenix is not related to our very own Temple Phoenix.
Hang on, how old would Temple be at this issue?
He's my age, so what do you think?
Maybe then, maybe.
It does kind of look like a child drew it.
Yeah.
Temple would have been about 13... Yeah, about 13 years old in 1993.
Right, well, that's too old for this art.
But yeah, this whole issue, I mean, it starts out very much like it means to go on. The issue with the sunglasses here and the power grip trainers and everything. And this was very emblematic of Mark Millar would have, because this isn't the only story Mark Millar would write. In fact, he would be writing stories, all the way through the teens, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this weird sort of prototypical feeling never went away from his stories. In fact, there's one of his that comes very, very late on in the run, post Return of Chaotix, actually, which was obviously just an inventory story left over from the start that they wheeled out much later on in the line. And it has this weird thing where it makes a real big deal out of the sneakers, and we'll see some of the other stuff he does later. But it's and the Extra Life actually was one of his too, from the teens, issue 13, I want to say. And although I like that, it was also representative of how weirdly literal he could be in translating the games, above and beyond the way that the game features had already been translated in the existing lore.
There's some kind of an explanation there behind the shoes, because they retain a semblance of his speed energy.
Nonsense.
And if you ever look at and if you ever look at Tails, the reason why he runs so fast is because he also wears a pair of red shoes.
Bullshit, nonsense, arse.
Although when I was a kid, I was kind of fascinated by the fact that Sonic had these power grip trainers, and I liked how they were red and white, but the white was like a little spike. And when I used to draw Sonic, I'd sometimes draw him in those shoes because I thought they looked cool. So there is an element of coolness, I guess.
Oh yeah, well yeah, no, plus the sunglasses.
Oh yeah,
the Ray-Bans.
The panel where he puts the sunglasses on isn't that bad until you notice that his arms are different sizes.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like he's actually gouging one of his eyes out.
He only actually has one eye.
Yeah, there's Sonic only has one big hideous white eye with two pupils floating in it.
So the little rabbit says that Robotnik showed up one night, raided the whole forest, took everybody out of the zone. Sonic puts on some sunglasses and flies off. Stay here, I'll be back. And then you see some buzz bombers, and one of them has an idea. Let's kill it.
Very Mark Millar dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
I like how the buzz bombers don't know who Sonic is either.
Well, obviously, because everyone got stolen, everyone forgot.
It's like he went to the Marble Zone and came back, and everyone forgot who he was.
Like Robotnik would have. I guess he wasn't programming them with this information at the time.
It's like, I've had my day off from work today, I'm going to work tomorrow, and no one's going to remember who I am. Because I went away for
No,
a
the
bit.
Buzz Bomber was off the previous day, so he's turned up today, and there's this hedgehog jumping about. He's got no idea.
Whoa! What's going on? This hedgehog? What's going on? Why does no one ever inform me? Where was the handover?
It's almost like this should have been issue 1.
Certainly, it's written from. It's weird because it's got Tails in it and stuff, and it's definitely written with more assumed knowledge on the part of the reader than issue 1 is. But like basically all the stories we're going to look at here today, it is this weirdly sort of standalone, even though it's technically not, prototypical. This could be the first Sonic thing you read, nothing else matters type of tone to them.
You make an interesting point. I was saying before about that first story that we talked about was in a freebie with Mean Machine Sega. I wonder if they just republished it for some reason, that this was actually meant to be issue 1.
I don't know.
But Sonic deactivates all of the badniks. The captives are freed. Now for Tails, I have a good idea where he is. And apparently, it's in the middle of the Matrix, looking at that picture. What a laugh this is going to be. Sonic the Hedgehog back from the Marble Zone to save his little foxy pal. Excellent. Do you think you can tackle that blue streak, Tails? I hear he's very fast.
Because Tails doesn't know Sonic is either.
It's weird how there's no establishing shot for Tails here.
Yeah.
He's just there. And then they have the establishing panel for him after they've already shown him.
I like how, without telling us it, we get our first reveal of Sally Acorn as well.
Oh, yeah, she is, yeah.
And she's very full of herself as well.
I mean, again, it's like she's there, but it's not treated as like a, hey, look, here's this character. It's like, because it was, again, this is all built on that previous, freestanding Sega lore where Sally Acorn was also a character. Mm-hmm. And Porker and Johnny and everybody else. So she's just there because, it was in the planning packet somebody handed to Mark Miller.
But like how she's like cute and cuddly again. So, very high opinion of yourself there, Sally.
She was a
who
bad
wants to take Tails then? Who wants to take what that is?
It's Teen Titany in a way, I guess. He looks like a half semi-knight. I don't know, Adam. I'm just grasping at straws here.
I figure that it's like they obviously wanted to do a whole Tails becomes a badnik type thing, but it's like they didn't want to visually hide the fact that it was Tails.
Yeah.
Like you had to be able to tell from looking it was Tails, so they just did a kind of Phantom of the Opera style half cowl thing.
Why does he look more naked?
Yeah, it's the same reason Donald Duck would wear a towel around his waist when he came out of the shower.
So Sonic
just accentuates his nudity.
Sonic wants his buddy back, and Tails, somehow, in the mechanical suit, does a supersonic spin, breaking Sonic's sunglasses. Good. I always hated you, Sonic. You always thought you were so smart, playing the big hero while I had to stay in the Green Hill Zone. What are you saying, Tails? You love that zone. Not anymore, creep. Not since your chirpy little pal joined my badnik army. Smash. So Sonic's dead.
Tails is not acting in this page.
No. Tails realises that he is actually Sonic's friend and goes to save him, and the super spin attack destroys the robotic suit of nudity. Robotnik looks upset about it. Aye, he says. And off he flies. And then they talk a little bit about the shoes.
Yes.
Yeah,
because
like, again,
I don't need
weirdly
special
flagging
shoes.
up the odd importance of the shoes.
Yeah.
But they helped.
Yeah.
And Robotnik makes an El Dorado reference.
Classic.
I just thought of a fantastic pun I'd probably get banned for life for saying. So, Tails in that robot suit. Circuit breaker, circuit tailor. And moving on.
Actually, now you can just say that. That is a little bit of a circuit breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really weird how, like, obviously his mind's been affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, at no point is that ever made explicit in the story.
No.
They clockwork oranged him. That's it.
Yeah, oh sure, no, like there's no question that they did.
Jesus.
But at no point did they say that. They never say, I was under the control of the badnik or whatever. And maybe it's because it was scripted in some way to feature Tails inside a badnik shell or something.
Yeah.
And the art actually only depicted him as this weird half-formed thing. So then the idea of him smashing out of the shell at the end would make it clearer. Maybe it's just because he's this weird half-formed state, but it really jumps out at me how they never actually say Tails has been brainwashed.
See,
No.
part of me wants to make Tails out to be more badass than he actually is. And he will be, because he'll be a freaking knight in later issues.
Badass might be pushing it.
Part of the reason why it's such a semi-formed suit, maybe he had a full suit, and at one point he tried to escape out of it. There, so be broken out Tails.
I just think it looked cool.
And
It does not.
The reason we got an eyepiece around there is, well, they were clockwork oranging him. That was the stuff that kept his eyes open. There you go.
We will be coming to some amazing Badnik designs in the not-too-distant future. But let's move on, because there is very little to say about that issue, I think.
Batman Returns also got an 85%, by the way.
Because now we get an issue, where the art suddenly spikes upwards quite heftily.
Mm-hmm.
This is beautiful. This is Mayhem in the Marble Zone.
Costanzas was the name of the artist. Something like that, wasn't it?
He's Ferran Rodriguez.
This is Ferran Rodriguez. That's not Ferran Rodriguez.
Apparently
Ferran
so.
Rodriguez did things like the Terror in the Hilltop Zone and stuff, the second Supersonic story.
Yeah, it is Casanovas. Casanovas. I wrote the wrong one down. Well, I'm reliable.
That's not a real name at all.
I know, right? It's funny, though, because this guy, and I remember him doing several future, not a massive pile of future strips, but several. But he was actually he would wind up on kind of like my low end of preferred artists. And, there's no question he's very good, certainly, off the back of these other things that we're seeing here. But I think he just has a stylistic approach to the characters that never sat right with me whenever they seemed... probably, actually, he was probably the one regular artist on STC who pushed the characters in a direction that took them the most off model they ever got, stylistically.
Yeah. They're kind of on model enough.
Yeah,
It's it's a weird uncanny valley kind of thing. Yeah, they look proficient enough, but you can tell there's something a little bit
Something's
not
not
right. Yeah.
I do love the way he draws Badniks, though.
I was going to say he drew a nice Tails.
Yeah.
His Sonic never. In fact, now he drew. Something. I want to say one of the Tails and Knuckles crossovers, or one of the Tails strips.
Did he take on a short fuse one at some point?
I can't recall. I feel like I remember him drawing something with the Blackthorns, but I can't remember now. I might be wrong. I really can't. I can't recall. It's in my memory, the image of him drawing tails and foxes like that. I guess it would be the Goblin Hunt.
Oh yes,
with the Goblin Queen. It wasn't Trog. It was the Goblin Queen. Yes, he drew that. Yeah. And I always did like how he drew that. But then that was just tails and a load of non-Sonic things. Yeah. So he's working in what was clearly more his oeuvre.
Mm-hmm. He's a dab hand at a felt tip pen, I know that much.
Mm-hmm. Well, this one, what do we think? I mean, I suppose it still kind of does look like it was done with pens, doesn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think each of these so far have been coloured in with artist pens, not so much felt tips.
Yeah, we're joking when we say felt tips. Yeah, pens.
It's like oil-based markers or something like that.
We say we're joking, but issue 2 most clearly was felt tip.
Or just somebody who didn't know how to use those pens.
Yeah, or knew how to draw. But hey, we'll get to that later.
I think it helps especially with this issue, is that the art is actually really good. So the fact it's coloured in with like markers doesn't really take away from it. Whereas some of the other stories, like the art's kind of awful and the colouring kind of doesn't really complement it that well. Whereas this one kind of seems to be the other way around, where the art is good and it's coloured well, I guess. Because
it's very bold colours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It complements the art very well. I don't think if the same person who coloured this drew one of the other issues, it would work as well.
Mm.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
So instead, we should talk about the story.
Yes.
Lastly, the story.
Such as it is.
So, a load of badniks have captured Tufty, a squirrel, who is wearing flying goggles.
Whatever.
Oh, can I do his voice?
Go on.
Please, you don't have to do this.
We know that, Tufty, but flattening you with one of the master's weights is so much fun.
Oh, please. I only came here to help my friends. I only wanted to save them from Dr. Robotnik, just like Sonic would.
We're not interested in your stupid excuses. Only interested in any last words you might have.
Drop the weight, do it, kill him.
Do it.
Well, he kind of sounded northern sometimes when you were doing the voice.
Please, I came here to help my friends. Only wanted to save them from Robotnik.
You're not wrong, though. Because they often write them to be British because the writers were British.
Yes.
True, very true.
I had visions of the some of the hand monsters from the labyrinth, and there's guys like, please, I haven't done it in such a long time. That's how I always imagine his voice.
So all I'm hearing is like some kind of northern version of Roger Rabbit.
Just a crazy high-pitched northern.
Aye.
Please.
Sonic runs off and he's like, see you later.
Oh no, Sonic! I'm going to play Garfield on my Game Boy.
That's how I'm going to voice him now. Thank you very much.
So Sonic is listening to a Walkman, drinking some Fanta apparently, and he can't hear what Tails is saying. So Tails boots him quite heftily. Sally Acorn's here. She's very upset. My little baby brother, Tufty, he just wanted to be like you, like a hero. He found a pair of your old power boots. We're back to the boots again.
Weird emphasis, and this is another Mark Miller strip.
Yep.
Yep.
My old power boots may still contain a bit of my high-speed energy. It won't last for long, but long enough to get Tufty into trouble. What are we going to do, Sonic? Tufty might be in danger. Oh, you've gone. Oh.
Right. I couldn't help myself. I had to shout, suck it, Chris, as soon as he said it contained his high energy.
Nonsense. Rubbish.
So, what we then get to see is some weirdly off-model rescuers.
Yeah, right?
It's so weird.
And like, guys, clearly a great, technically proficient, like anthropomorphic artist.
Yeah,
very Disney-esque, in fact. But it's not Sonic's world.
No, it's not. Look at him go! Did you see his face? What an attitude!
What a tune, dude!
Blue streak speeds by. Sonic the Hedgehog. Tufty should be in the marble zone, says Sonic. I'll take a shortcut, and this is the first time that we get to see the special zone. And it's interesting.
Weird.
Yeah. Why is it weird, Chris?
Well, there are like half a dozen reasons it's weird. It's like, first he gets there through a ring, like a la Sonic 1, whenever very next issue will say, no, that's not how you get to the special zone. 2, it's like the ring, he doesn't expect to get there when he jumps through the ring. 3, there are all 6 Chaos Emeralds floating in the background there. That's actually, there's probably 3. 3 is probably the full extent of it. But again, funnily enough, though, it is again that weirdly over literal interpretation of the game stuff that Miller that I was talking about before, where we'll literally never see the magic giant ring appears at the end of the level again thing. And I don't know, maybe there was something about that in that Sega lore that I'm just forgetting, or that wasn't in Stay Sonic, about how those giant rings that would appear at the end of the issue, at the end of the act, if you grab 50 rings, could be used as shortcuts or something. But
the special stage also looks like a lot like a Sonic 2 special stage.
Oh, that's a Sonic 2 special.
Yeah.
Stage. Sort of, but basically, kind of.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Matt, do you want to take the next panel? Because it's the best line of the entire issue.
This is all Tufty, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh no! Stop! Don't throw me into the lava.
Don't throw me in the lava.
No, it's just the best line ever. Just don't throw me in the lava.
Don't throw me into the lava.
Don't throw me in lava.
Oh no, man! I'm going to be thrown in lava.
Oh no! I'm gonna use my shoes. Oh shit! I've just hit a wall.
That lava will never wash out.
But it's the actual drawing attention to the lava is just another example of how it doesn't quite kick in for another couple pages yet, but how it's about, once again, describing the features of the marble zone.
Yep.
There's lava. As we'll see in a couple of pages, there's crusher weights. They just happen as natural perils.
So the badniks think that it's going to be much more fun to turn him into a badnik. So he tries to run away, and as Matt says, runs straight into the wall. And then we get to see what apparently is a sentient machine.
The idea is supposed to be that he can't control the speed energy that's in the boots, and he runs out of control. But, for all the world, it just looks like he runs into a wall of his own volition.
I'm going to escape. And then asks for mercy after breaking his own face.
But he stole a pair of Sonic shoes, basically, and said he wants to go and help his friends. What is he actually expecting to accomplish?
He wants to have friends. That's what it is.
But he's clearly not going to be able to rescue anyone, because he's just a little cowardly northern, apparently, squirrel thing.
With flying goggles. Don't forget the
flying
Biggles hat.
goggles.
Oh, he's a flying squirrel, isn't he? So we get to see the machine that they use to make badniks with, which apparently is sentient and has one giant eye.
It's Master Mold.
He's kind of creepy looking.
I love him. He's amazing.
It's Bertha.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's evil Bertha.
What are you saying? Bertha is already evil.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Bertha,
She was a lovely machine.
Bertha created Skynet. It's the true history of the Terminator.
Moving on. What's that sound? Ground shaking. Something coming. Guess who creeps? Sonic bops everybody with a pop, a ka-chung, and a patoom. Sonic, my hero. There's
a tiger.
Badniks being smashed. There's a tiger with a collar. There's a pig, which is... I don't know how to describe it other than that's not a happy pig. And there is a rabbit, which looks weirdly not... It doesn't look like the same person drew all the animals. It's an odd one.
Yeah, because he doesn't do too bad with the rabbit or the chicken.
No.
But then the tiger? The question mark? It's so weird, because, it's not one of the animals.
No, it's
not one of the animal friends.
The pig freaks me out. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he doesn't look. He looks like he's somewhere else entirely. What's going on?
Like, hey.
So, what we get then is one of the badniks, a motorbug. He decides that he's going to swim in lava rather than be caught by Sonic, whilst an owl looks on. And that owl did not come from a badnik, which means that owl has been sitting watching this since the beginning. Crusher weight. Oh no! But Tufty pushes Sonic out of the way so he does not get crushed. Sonic then bops the motorbug with
I do like that.
the least amount of effort, which is quite cool.
I like.
Takes him back. Carry on.
I saved you. I guess I'm not a hero after all. I'm such a douche.
We cut back to the Green Hill Zone. Oh, Tails, I'm so scared. I don't think I'm ever going to see Tufty again. Yes, that's more positive thinking, isn't it, than anything else?
Absolutely.
Why is Tails so massive?
Because Sally's just that small.
Tails does look weirdly...
He looks huge.
Chunky. It looks like he's been eating too many chili dogs. He's just got that certain look to him. The proportions are all slightly off. Sonic brings Tufty back. Nah, they're safe now. And he takes the shoes off Tufty.
Yeah.
Because there's only one Sonic the Hedgehog.
What an arsehole. That's a funny point, actually, and I say that. It's like, I've had conversations with Americans who have read Sonic the comic or tried to read it, and they can't get on with it because of the way Sonic is depicted in it. Because Sonic's a bit of an arsehole in Sonic the comic.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, no, but Mark Miller wrote him as a very different kind of arsehole than Nigel Kitching would go on to. Because Miller's Sonic is really vain and just really up his own hole. But Kitching's was more sort of impatient and overconfident. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so he's an arsehole. But to me, it's not like I wasn't aware of it when I was reading it originally, but that was the model of 90s cool. The disaffected lone wolf. That was what was cool.
Yeah.
That was our model of the sunglasses wearing cool guy.
Yeah, the Wolverine, the Gambit.
John Connor.
Yeah. Well, Gambit was never cool. And if you thought Gandalf was cool, you were wrong.
There's the two keywords right across all kinds of media. If it wasn't extreme, it had to have attitude. Hey, Zordon! Zordon wants 5 teenagers with attitude, even though none of them have any
attitude! No, yeah. I was going to say, I was like, I don't know what point he's making here.
They've got positive attitudes.
Yeah, they had attitude was the leather jacket perched against the wall, 1 foot up on the wall, 1 leg out in front of yourself, if you were old enough, maybe a cigarette, sunglasses. That was attitude in the 90s. That's what Sonic embodied.
Maybe Zordon meant positive attitude? I don't know. But anyway, attitude and extreme attitude. Those are the 2 key words that everything had to have. You had to have attitude in everything.
It's John Connor.
Everything.
Yeah. Right, should we get into the next one? Because I know that some people are going to have something to say, and I've got something to say about this next issue, and I'm actually really excited to discuss this one.
Yes.
So this one was written by Nigel Kitching in his first script for Sonic the Comic.
I didn't realise this was his first one. I thought his didn't come till issue 6.
Nope, this is the first one.
And you can tell right away, too, when you know that. It's like, oh yeah, obviously it is.
Yeah.
This was the first actual strip back in the day when I used to read Craig's back issues that got me. And this is before Metallics.
Yeah, don't spoil anything yet. I've got excitement.
Oh,
excitement building.
But there's one key thing about this that I really like, which we'll get into in a bit.
Okay. So, this one starts up with the amazingly named Stripes and Ruff.
Yeah.
They're the cutest things in the world.
It wasn't all 100% gold from Nigel Kitching from the start, but,
I'll have you know I freaking love Stripes and Ruff, and it annoys me that they haven't ever reappeared.
Stripes actually does seem like he could have been like a Sega animal friend.
Yes, without a doubt. So, Stripes is saying, you sure he was heading this way, Ruff? I'm telling you, Stripes, it was Sonic for sure. Who else can spin like that? They come to a star post where a blue, spiky figure is destroying it. Sonic's freaked out. Run for it. And we get to see something.
It's so cool.
It is amazing. I love it. It's just, look at its mouth.
It is mental. Like, this is the art in this one is, it's not great, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
And this Sonic robot design is pretty neat.
Yeah, Ed Hillier did the art for this one.
I feel like he would come back for a few more of issues within the teens. I want to say he maybe at least drew, what was it called? Speed Demon, the one where Sonic runs halfway around the world in 30 seconds?
Yeah, yes, aye.
I want to say he drew that, but I couldn't swear to it.
I don't even want to move off this page. I love that design so much. It's Badnik Sonic, and it is great. It's actually got a screw for a nose. One of its eyes.
It's not a very Sonic-y design, though.
No, it's not.
It doesn't really feel like it fits in the world of Sonic. In fact, when you turn the page, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's a different artist.
Yeah.
But it's still neat as frig.
Oh, it really is. So, Sonic and Tails are flying through the Emerald Hill Zone. That's actually a good point. This isn't Green Hill Zone, it's Emerald Hill Zone. And
that's a distinguishing feature of a lot of Kitching stories, is that they were staged in the Emerald Hill Zone and used the zones from Sonic 2, whereas the stuff Miller wrote would be staged in the Green Hill Zone and would use the zones from Sonic 1.
Mm-hmm. And Tails tells Sonic, as he's cooling off his feet with the most Family Guy pose you've ever seen Sonic pull, that a couple of guys think that they saw Sonic destroying the gateways to the Special Zone.
You mean those rings from last issue?
No, Chris. I do not. We go back, though, to my two favourite characters from these opening stories, Stripes and Ruff. Well, he did look a lot bigger than Sonic. Who else do you know has those crazy spikes? And we get to see more crazy badniks.
Yeah.
Tentacles.
There are so many tentacles. And when you get to see the Badger Badnik, which, once again, doesn't look like a Sonic Badnik as such.
No, they don't. But, well, the dog one's a little better. It's kind of neat. It's a Cerberus three-headed thing going on there.
With a giant pipe coming out of its mouth and its big eye, and it's... I freaking love these things. They're amazing. And you get the quite cool organic battery successfully installed.
Yeah, I get another piece of Sega lore, but this is our first explicit introduction to the idea.
And it makes it automatically darker.
Oh, definitely. I always thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah. They are nothing more to Robotnik than batteries for his machines. Yeah. So it ain't just a case that they're trapped there. They are feeding off their life force. It's one of the first actual aspects of a really much darker undergrowth in this strip.
Well, this whole page, the colours, the way it's laid out, it's just different to everything else. There is kind of threat here, and it doesn't seem like the fluffy, pulpy stories that have been in the previous issues. This kind of seems like, well, this is a bit darker than normal.
Yeah. Nigel Kitching just kicking the effing door in and going, right, listen up, I'm here now.
It begins.
It doesn't read as it doesn't read prototypical like basically all the other stories we're looking at here do. It's not all the way, it's obviously the book would far exceed what's going on here, but this doesn't feel like a starting out story. Kitching really did come in and blow the doors off.
Oh yeah. And speaking of blowing the doors off, that's exactly what this badnik Sonic does. Destroys a wall, which means he's been hiding there for some time. Sonic tries to spin attack him, fails miserably, and then you find out that this thing can morph its body.
Well, is it morphing really, or is it just... I think it's just curling up into a ball and shooting the spikes off, and they've just artistically... rendered it the way that they would render Sonic curled up into a ball sometimes too. I don't know that it's
but
it's morphing.
It seems based on the robot Sonic from the end of Sonic 2, the silver one. Well, that would morph into a ball and shoot spikes. Well, it seems thematically.
Oh yeah. I kind of see what you're saying there. Yeah,
with the shooting of the spikes, but that very robot will turn up again later.
I do like that when he shoots the spikes out, you've got that orange glow in all the hollows, and then the next one you've got this black shape with the big glowing orange eyes. And then
there's some strong actual stylistic artistic choices made here. It's not just something the guy shot out on his lunch. There's some respectable choices made here.
Tails tries to save Sonic by spin dashing him.
And he's beyond useless.
Yep, which of course means that Sonic then gets captured and organic battery successfully installed inside the Sonic Badnik. And we're getting to the bit now. Oh, I'm excited. This is all my fault. It's up to me to save Sonic, says Tails, as he realises that the Badnik army is coming towards him. And then we get to see Robotnik with a brand new robotic Badnik Tails and a circus outfit.
Why has he got his own robotic body?
A cannon in the chest.
Why though?
I don't know, but I love it.
It's the sort of thing it doesn't Sonic mentions his fancy suit, and he's got jet boots at the end.
Yep.
But besides that, it doesn't mean anything, and you could believe it was just some weird random decision by the artist that the writer then had to roll with.
Yeah,
it's so random.
I love the top hat.
It's like robot suit is one thing. Yeah, okay. It's like if you're not in your Eggomatic, but why the hat?
And why the cape?
Why the cape? I don't get it.
Somebody reboot Chris.
Quite an improvement, wouldn't you say? The spike ball will be certainly a lot more use to me this way. I'm going to need all the help I can get collecting these things.
I love how content Sonic looks in that one panel, Robot Sonic. Like Robotnik's tickling the back of his neck. Like he's like, yeah.
Why is Robotnik's lips so warty?
I think it's supposed to be like spittle. Like he's so excited, he's just like...
It's horrible. It's so horrible.
Yeah, completely.
considering that the Special Zone is my new base of operations, I don't want any uninvited guests. Which then shows where Kitchen was going to go with this, that Robotnik was going to move into the Special Zone and start using that as his own personal domain.
You're just in there from the off, laying down stuff like that would come, yeah. I mean, he's ignoring is maybe putting a bit, he obviously written without knowledge of what Miller had just written in the previous issue regarding means of access to the Special Zone. But it's actually like setting something up for the future. Mm-hmm. It's not just some weird random done in one thing. The doors are off.
So Sonic realizes that that's Robotnik's plan. And of course, this Badnik programming can't take him over, which is a long way from what we'll see in future issues when it comes to people being taken over by Badnik control. Short fuse. Mm-hmm. And then he has one of the grimmest things we've seen so far. Would you like to see what happens when I try a supersonic spin when I'm holding your moustache?
I don't know. I don't take that as grim because it wasn't really something, I guess, that happened too much in this. But I guess the images of constant mustache torture from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon have stuck with me, so that I don't find it horrifying, because that poor thing was getting pulled off constantly. I just watched an episode of Sonic Boom just today, wherever Eggman, I'll call him Eggman's robots, thought that he had been disintegrated, leaving only his mustache. Don't believe the memes, kids. That show is not as funny as it looks.
No, it's not. It's fairly terrible, to be honest.
It's awful. Not awful, but it's that's a whole other podcast.
It's watchable.
But it's not as funny as all those memes and GIF sets you see shared around social media would have you think it is. Those in isolation are funny. In isolation.
Anyway. So Robotnik releases all of the Badniks and all of the organic batteries. And anyone notice the splots? Because we've seen splots in every issue so far. Splots are not in the games. The splots is the rabbit, by the way. The rabbit Badnik.
It is not in the games.
They are not in the games. They were meant to be in Sonic 2. Mm-hmm. They weren't. So Robotnik flies away. Robotnik, he's got jet boots. He's getting away. That's not the last thing that I'm seeing here. He's that thing that he's got in his stomach, that cannon just dangling there. It's name the time and place and I'll be ready. And that's the end of that issue. So thoughts on that one?
I really like the artwork from this issue.
Yeah.
It's as I said at the start, it's not really on model, but it works in its own way. Like, it's consistent throughout. Like, things aren't constantly chopping and changing.
Yeah.
And the colours are really bold. They're really nice. I really like that robotic Badnik Sonic design. I think that's just cool.
It really is.
It is really cool. I don't care what anyone says. I'll fight them. That's a cool looking robot Sonic.
It needs a name. We need to give it a name. We can't go any further now until we've named it.
In my notes, I just kept calling it Robo Sonic.
Robo-Hog, there we go.
And then I called Robotnik Robo-Robotnik. You could just keep going on forever, like Robo-Robotnik.
Tronic.
I like Tronic. I'll call him Chronic.
That's the green one. With the red eyes.
I'd say in terms of the art, I agree what you say about it not being on point, as in on... What was it you said? On character?
On model.
On model. I think the art sort of loses its way whenever he attempts to put it on model. And when they just go their own way, that's when it works.
But it tends to remain consistent. Like, it's not on model really in this strip at all, but it kind of is its own thing. And it doesn't change. Like some of the earlier issues where you'll have this weird looking Sonic and then the next page will be just a tracing from something.
Yeah,
it doesn't have that. It's always its own thing. So I think it works. It's a lot stronger than some of the other issues.
Rough as it is, there's a quality it has, and this is kind of a nebulous thing, but maybe you'll know what I mean when I say I recognize it as Sonic the comic. You know, there's an aesthetic that like the comic would never really look as bad as it does again after these early couple of strips. But some artists, not the regular artists, but the way Sonic is drawn in this, it's a stylistic approach to Sonic that we would see again a lot. Carl Flint's covers to the series are often looked this way. It reads as STC to me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it is annoying that in this final panel we do see Ruff and Stripes for the last time. Ruff is ready to fight.
Look at him there, yeah. God, that's like a Lou Stringer drawing, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Stripes is just sniffing a flower.
Nah, he's good.
Yeah. I love that last picture. So, into the last one for today.
I do wonder off the back of that one if Kitching was already planning what he would do in just a short, well, it's really just in, 4 issues time, isn't it?
Yeah.
He
must have been.
Before we get to the next story, I just want to say that a crime was committed in the game reviews. They gave Streets of Rage 2 an 80%. They gave Streets of Rage 2 an 80%, and they gave
have been higher.
The Flintstones got 85.
I don't remember the Flintstones game. It could have been amazing. Is it the Flintstones movie, or was it just a Flintstones game?
It's the Flintstones game.
Well, I don't know.
Batman Returns got an 85%.
Batman Returns was a good game, son. I had that.
Streets of Rage 2 is one of the best games on the Mega Drive.
Thank you.
Ever.
Well, to put it into perspective, in the next issue we're going to talk about in a minute, they give Micro Machines 95%.
Well, Micro Machines was the shiz.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Sorry.
Anyway.
I don't really want to get into this one. So, this is Lost in the Labyrinth Zone, and it is issue 5 of...
Woof!
Jesus. What are you guys talking about? This is so good, for all the wrong reasons. It's so good.
Okay.
If you thought issue 2 was bad,
yeah,
joking aside, not just making fun for the sake of making fun, there would be stuff sent into the kids' art page that looked better than this.
Yeah.
This is real. They let Woodrow out of the cupboard again territory. This is who thought something maybe somebody fell out, somebody that was supposed to be drawing it fell out. It's a mess. It is true. Who on earth thought this was fit for publication territory?
Somebody got paid for this.
No, they didn't. Trust me, nobody got paid. Now, somebody got charged, but nobody got paid.
An intern got hired for this, and then the intern realised that his kid brother could probably draw better than him, and he would be mistaken.
The intern had diarrhea that day, and so this guy stepped in.
What? He just drew the whole thing, really clenched, tight, waiting to try. There's nothing go to the toilet.
What is really weird about this particular strip, before we get into it too much, is Tails is actually pretty good throughout it.
Yes, I actually it's not well drawn, but I like the approach the art takes to the character.
But it's the only thing that's good.
Yeah.
Sonic has clearly stolen the cosmic treadmill from the Flash, and he's using it for personal gain. That's what's happening. He's on the cosmic treadmill.
He's been on the Sultana as well, by the looks of things.
Because of the cosmic treadmill, he appears to be turning into Stretch Armstrong. Or one of those goddamn bendy toys that you used to get out of amusement parks.
Sonic didn't really have elbows. He did just have those noodles.
I can't tell if those are meant to be clouds in the sky or they're freaky white branches coming out of the trees.
Yeah, they're really... It's we shouldn't dwell on it.
No,
but it's the guys. It looks really bad.
Should I see if I can do all of this without taking a breath? Just so we can blast through this last issue, because it's bad.
Well, Adam, you got to go fast.
All right, then. So, Sonic and Tails are trying out a treadmill. Tails has found out that Sonic can read. No, he can... Well, that failed.
Can't go fast.
No, can't go fast.
Read!
Tails read Sonic's speed at 750 miles an hour. Sonic says he must be out of shape, and then takes a shower outside, and he's
Proper.
holding the shower up. Where is the water coming from? He then blow dries his spikes because he's so vain.
I assume that's one of those weird desert island type showers that you see made on those Castaway programs where it collects all the rainwater and then you pull the rope and it dumps it on you.
Well, you know that Kevin Costner drinks his own wee-wee in the beginning of Westworld.
Are you implying Sonic the Hedgehog drinks his own wee-wee?
I'm implying that Sonic likes to shower himself in his own, wee-wee.
The water is blue, not golden.
In my notes, I wrote Sonic showering in public. 1,000 fanfics were launched.
Sonic runs around naked all the time anyway.
Exactly.
What are you talking about, Sam? This is the fanfic that was created from it.
I also put in my notes. This is verbatim what I wrote. Holy crap! This eye is awful. It's like a bad fanzine.
Is that the winky eye?
Oh God.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't help when he says, I'm going to eat them one at a time. Oh, God. So, Sonic...
See, this is more of that Miller weirdness.
Yeah.
This is the Flash. All of this is the Flash right now.
But is it? I mean, yes, I mean, it's possible to read it that way, but is that how Miller wrote it? Is Miller really thinking, Sonic runs around and burns a lot of calories, so he just has to eat a lot of stuff?
Well, all of that
what?
Came about pretty much by the 80s, so I would...
Oh, yeah, but I don't put anything past Mark Miller. Mark Miller.
Sonic is going to eat 200 burgers, but he's going to eat them one at a time. Then all of a sudden, Tails is kidnapped.
Well, these rashers of bacon come streaming out of the ground.
Strawberry shoelaces, man. Strawberry shoelaces. We then get to see the most terrifying badniks we'll ever see. Not because that they are built to be scary, but those goddamn horse things won't stop smiling.
Equises, they're called, aren't they?
No, they're not.
Well, they're from the oil ocean zone, but they're hideous.
Yeah. So we get some more Mark Miller wonderful dialogue.
Don't wriggle, you little creep. Put up a fight and I'll pluck your arms and legs off.
So Sonic decides to go after Tails, follows them down this dark, dark corridor, takes Sally Acorn and Mr. Cow with him. They go down to the labyrinth zone. We've been digging and burrowing down here for months, and now it stretches under almost half the planet Mobius.
I don't think that's how it works, but okay.
Yep. So there's a spike ball trap, and then there's Indiana Jones arrows.
Once again, it's Mark Miller describing the features of the labyrinth zone from the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, where was our Springyard zone chapter in between the marble zone and the labyrinth zone?
Has the artist ever actually seen the labyrinth zone?
Yeah, plus that, because he clearly didn't have proper reference material.
No, he's drawn the labyrinth zone as being, a labyrinth.
It's a blue corridor.
Yeah. You don't want to go that way. That way leads straight to Robotnik's castle in the middle.
Come on in and meet the missus.
So, now a wee little bit of going back to an earlier issue, because the Badniks are carrying Tails' suit.
I'll tell you, the first thing I thought when I saw that was, gee, I wonder if this was supposed to be published first.
Maybe.
But no, I don't. Based on the way the story ends, no, I don't think it is. I think it is surprisingly a moment of genuine continuity. But my gut reaction was, gee, was this supposed to be where that came from first?
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, it's not, but it could be. So Sonic tells everybody to watch out for the spike traps because they're not
like in the
obvious.
game.
Yep.
In the game, the spikes. The game.
The Badniks are confused by Sonic's attack as they destroy, and we get the "hooray, adorable again" joke.
Again.
You can't change me back, you fool. I'm a prime Badnik. I'm a pure robot, and you're dead.
That's interesting. Because Kitching would sort of run. I don't know if he was deliberately taking inspiration from this or not, but he would run with that later.
Yeah, the idea of the prime Badniks.
Robot. Were they called prime Badniks?
No.
Feel like they were. No.
No, the prime Badnik I think only ever turned once again, and it was in passing. Yeah, it was the I can't remember what they were called now, but do you remember the Badnik Repair Squad?
Oh, Barf.
Yes. That's a great name.
Badnik Army Repair Functionaries.
That's the ones. They mention it once, I think.
Fine Badnik, I can't recall at all. I remember the 7 Badniks. That one didn't go nowhere. But I like this guy. He's a dreadful design, but he was weirdly memorable as a character because he's such a bastard.
I do think within a different artist, he could have been something quite cool.
Yeah, he doesn't. Again, it's another example of a design that doesn't look like a Sonic-y design.
No.
It's the most grossly simplistic, childish doodle. And also his name is Arachbot, which is like, come on, guys, Arachnoid or something at least. Make it sound like a Badnik.
Yeah, Arak Attack.
Yeah.
So Sonic manages to create a tidal wave. Possibly,
Well,
it just happens.
It happens like in the game. It's the game.
Yeah.
The water in the game in the lab. It's like the game.
Somebody keep hold of Tails. Did someone mention my name? You'll never escape me in the labyrinth zone, not in my own domain. So Sonic decides to...
Why is he a spider and not an octopus?
I think he's meant to be an octopus. I think
He's
they're meant
called
to be...
Arachbot.
Yeah, but it's shit.
Yeah, but Muller wrote it and called him Arachbot.
Yeah, but
So
then the
it's like-
design came along and it was wrong.
It's not like it's any more a spider than it is an octopus.
No, with its weird cat face.
Yeah.
Octopus. There you
Little
go.
antenna.
He's got a cat face. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad Nicky name.
So they use. I've just realised that Tails' suit now has a chest piece, which would make him look less naked. That makes me happy. He releases the oil over the water, and of course, there's a flamethrower in it.
Where is that flamethrower?
Maybe it was just a laser. It was just the fire.
It's the location of where the fire is coming from.
Yeah,
That is
it does seem
especially
to be-
interesting.
Well, it looks like Tails would fit in the palm of Sonic's hand based on the size of the suit in that particular panel. So
Yep.
It's the compact version. It stretches over him to fit. It's figure fitting.
one size fits all.
Yeah.
So they burn a octopus down, and then get back to breakfast.
Screaming
300
all
stars.
day, too.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's going in a horrible manner. And then you already had breakfast. You got to be kidding, Tails. That was the first course. Because second breakfast, third breakfast, Sonic's goddamn Hobbit.
It's got to be cold by now, all that food.
And
Can I-
thankfully, that is the end of the first 5.
You can't
Can
say
I-
it ends on a high note, can you?
No.
I could see that it ends on the fact there's a speech bubble over the fire that says crackle, and it replaces the C with a K, because that's another 90s thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's just a sound effect. I don't care if I don't feel like sound effects have to be spelt right.
You don't have to be spelt right.
I'm looking at Sonic's face where he's...
Ah,
No.
I like Coke.
Why are his ears red?
It's not that they're red so much as they've got a weird white outline on them.
Yeah. It's like his ears have lasers in them. Don't understand.
Where's this food come from?
Oh my god.
It
Mr.
came from
Mr.
his
Cow.
friends, Chris. Did you not
Yeah.
see the cow fell on the spikes?
And Porker Lewis, and he's eating hot dogs. This has literally never occurred to me before in 20 years. It's like, where does the meat for Sonic's chili dogs come from?
Sonic,
That's
Tails,
why
and Sally are the only ones who escaped.
That's why Tufty wants friends.
Because Sonic keeps eating them.
I bet if you asked Sega, they'd have some pat line about how it's all vegan meat or something.
Did veganism exist in 1992?
No, if you ask them now,
Okay, alright.
they'll
Linda
be veggie
McCartney.
dogs.
Linda McCartney existed in 1992, so I'm guessing
It'll be like
yes.
lentil patties or something.
This is why we never see another tiger.
Oh god.
Hunted to extinction.
Tiger meat.
Too delicious to live.
I really love that tiger meat.
Ah!
Let's get some thoughts then on these first 5 issues. We'll start with Matt.
Micro Machines got 95% in the
You're overriding thought.
Oh God. So yeah. Sam, save me.
They definitely exist. I guess if you were a child and they'd be like serviceable enough as a Sonic story because you want to read about Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, I remember the art being like, some of them were a bit ropey as a kid, but it was Sonic, so I was like, cool, more Sonic stuff, I'll read it. And then obviously later, from issue 6 onwards, the better stuff comes. So it was just kind of an easy way in, I guess. I guess they were still trying to find their feet, I guess, with stuff. And
they didn't. They did not find their feet.
They did not. They were churning out stuff because they decided to make a magazine. Yeah, but it's fine.
Babe.
I'll give you my serious answer now. I fully agree with everything Sam says. To be absolutely honest, the way this was all put together, it makes me feel that it wasn't originally going to be called Sonic the Comic. It was probably going to be like Sega the Comic or something, and of which Sonic was the most least thought of part of it. But because by 1994, Sonic the Hedgehog was Sega's massive, major breadwinner, you couldn't sell it without Sonic. So, hence the hasty relabeling to Sonic the Comic, and you had this crappy little strip to start off the comic. Sam's absolutely right. This is basically, this is totally what we're doing. This is how we're finding our feet. I don't even think it was really that until a few issues later where they suddenly decided, now we need to start finding our feet. I think the first few strips was totally right. We need to fill in the void somehow. You're an artist somehow. I saw you doodle in your extra sketch somewhere.
You had diarrhea.
That's basically it. But this final story, I find it very entertaining. I legitimately laughed simply by going through the art. So it worked on that level. Maybe for the wrong reasons, but I found it entertaining. But yeah, that's my general thoughts. I think that in the process, Sonic was really the afterthought, and unfortunately, the main branding of the comic dictated that this was the main strip, and it really wasn't. It really wasn't.
Here's a thought for you. What if Mark Miller had stayed on as the writer?
Death of a grand scale.
But you wouldn't have known any better. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I never looked at it the way Matt describes it before, but it seems kind of plausible, doesn't it? Because, as we said at the start there, all the other strips launched in with 6-part serials in, true UK Kids comic style. And Sonic is very much just a mishmash of bits and pieces. I can't say I'm in any way sad that I missed out on these 5 when I was younger, except maybe the, what's it called? Day of the Badniks? Because that does sort of set up the idea that Robotnik's taking over the Special Zone, which comes into play as early as issue 8. Although not knowing that almost makes the end of that strip a little bit more surprising when you read it without that knowledge. It does feel like a lot of this stuff was just written as a inventory stories to run whenever, and then Nigel Kitchen came in and blew the doors off. But they had to also get through the rest of it, which I want to say it's all done by, what do you think, like issue 16, 17, that sort of territory?
By that point, everything's in place.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, issue 8, 9, 10, that's when Kitching lays down his law.
Yeah.
And then I feel like 11, well, I'm just running through them in my head. You got Speed Demon, you got the Extra Life. Metamorphia hadn't happened by that stage. You got the Green Eater in there. You got that Christmas one, and they were all Miller fillers, as it were. And then you hit 17, 18. That's the Casino Night, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you're into Pirates of the Mystic Cave, and no, Pirates of the Mystic Cave doesn't come till after Girl Trouble. But Girl Trouble is really the big redefine, and that's like issue 20. So yeah, they have to burn off this other sort of fillery material in the early to mid teens.
It does kind of feel like, say with the backup strips. You say backup strips, but like your Streets of Rage and your Shinobi and that kind of thing, where they're creating these like big 6-part stories, and that's kind of your traditional, British comics. So like your Commando, your 2000 AD, even the Transformers stuff to an extent. Whereas Sonic feels more kind of Beano-y, where it's like one shots, like quick little one and dones. And it feels like they were styles.
It feels like maybe they knew that was a misstep. The way, because I feel fairly confident that these little touches of continuity that they put in there with Robotnik remembering how he captured Tails once, or that weird way that the first and second two don't really link, but they try to pretend like they do. They feel like they were stuff that was written in afterwards to try and make it seem like there was more going on that there really wasn't.
Yeah.
But then the fifth, I mean, to be fair to the fifth one, that genuinely seems like real continuity with Tails' Robo Fox suit coming back.
It certainly leads credence to my theory that Sonic was really meant to be like the thing they tagged on at the end of the comic rather than the mainstay of the comic. Because I've just looked through the entirety of issue 1, and you could tell how far in advance they planned this when they already had advertised Streets of Rage for issue 7, Kid Chameleon also for issue 7, and then of course Wonder Boy for issue 2.
That's right. Yeah, no, there are only 3 strips in issue 1, aren't there?
Yeah, you got
Shinobi.
Yeah,
Shinobi. And then Wonder Boy starts in number 2.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah. Like when we were young, of course, though, it seemed like an absolute eternity. A 6-part serial, but that was only 6 weeks. Sorry, no, it wasn't. It was
12 weeks.
It was fortnightly, wasn't it? So it was 3 months. That's not long by 3 months. Fart 3 months. Now it feels like it's been 3 months since TF Nation already. But when you were young, gosh, that was a whole summer holiday gone on you or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Up to me, it was nearly. I think it was May. Sonic first came out in shops.
Yeah, springtime. Yeah, definitely.
Because it was nearing my summer holidays from school when we started looking into the comics and playing the games and stuff, because it was the dying end of the school year for us.
I can always remember that I picked up issue 6 it was either the day or the day after that my family got back from being on summer holidays. Yeah. I forget where we'd been, but the day we came back, I had already decided before we left that I was going to get the next issue of this comic that I'd heard about. And so it was either the day we came back or the day after. So that must have been in mid-August.
Because on the strength of issue 1, I actually bought issues 2 and 3 myself and read the crap out of them on the school trip to Oakwood Park. Yeah,
school trips, I can remember. Yes, I remember direct correlation of trips. Issue 7, I either got it in or got it just before I went up to visit my granny. And issue 50, I got and took with me on a really boring family weekend away to some place in the country.
Yeah, but it just shows how much thought they put into these other strips than they did with Sonic. When they all had strips planned out well in advance. So
it comes to my... I haven't thought this through yet because it only just popped into my head. But I think there might be a possibility that Kitchen and Elson were busy working on the stuff that was to come. And this stuff was just thrown out there to give them the time to start laying the groundwork for their stuff. Yeah,
Miller's stuff specifically feels very inventory-ish. It feels like although Matt's completely right when you say that it feels like the stuff that could have gone in the back, it also feels like the stuff that might have been churned out en masse well in advance of its actual publication, like before the comic had even started, just to have a log of stuff to pull from whenever they needed 7 pages filled that month or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a very strong possibility.
It's hard to know. I don't know if we'll ever know.
Well, maybe.
I don't imagine Mark Miller recalls very well.
No, probably not. So let's draw this to a close then, because while this show is going to work, it's going to be a rotating host each time. So next time your host will be Chris McFeely.
Hey, that's me.
It is. Then after that, it shall be Matt.
Maybe, because we haven't worked out the structure of 3 yet.
Yes. But one person will be dropping out for each episode, so there'll only be 3 people talking. We think. We're still trying to hammer that together at the moment. But with all that being said, we're nearly at the 2-hour mark, so I think it's time to get out of here. So to start off with then, thank you very much, Chris.
You're very welcome. Pleasure to be here. Look forward to doing more.
And is there anything you'd like to pimp out, sir?
Well, I do have my new series, Transformers: The Basics, on YouTube. Started this summer, still going. Very positive reception so far. So if you like Transformers, or if you're new to Transformers and looking to learn more about the lore and the world and the characters, or if you know someone who's trying to do that, please do give it a look. Share it around. It's going down well so far. I'm very proud of it.
Excellent. And thank you, Matt.
Hi.
Is there anything you want to pimp out?
Well, I mostly work for the Old Oilhouse, which I believe this podcast is coming out through. But just in case you're a new person who's entered via basically listening to this for the first time and don't know about anything else we do, you can, of course, find us on theoldoilhouse.weebly.com. You can find all kinds of chunky, geeky nonsense all around that. And if you like it enough, why not join our social media over on the Facebooks, that being facebook.com/Old Oilhouse, as well as a lot of its conglomerates, but, we are the conglomerate, which you can also find on our main Facebook page. You can also find us on Tumblr. I'm currently trying to source somebody that can run that for me, as well as Twitter at the Old Oilhouse.
And thank you, Sam. And if you want to pimp your stuff out as well?
Yes, I will pimp my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel about games, believe it or not, called Hardcore Gamer, which is youtube.com/xhardcoregamerx. And it's not hardcore as in I'm good at games, it's hardcore as in incredibly heavy punk rock, which you'd see if you watch the videos. And I have done a video about Sonic. In fact, the first video I did was about Sonic. I do have more Sonic stuff in the works, so there'll be more of that around there. So please go and check that out, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And if you want to say hi, you can get me on Twitter, which is at Sam_Palmer_37.
Excellent. And thank you to you, the listeners. I have been Gruffy. You can find me at www.rivetedsounds.co.uk, which is my audiobook production company. You can find me doing podcasts at The Creeks, which is a look at the ridiculousness of conspiracy and paranormals. And you can find me talking about the worlds of Warhammer at The Fluff and Hammer. There's probably other stuff as well, but I can't remember any of it now. There's too many plates spinning at any given time.
He was tired, you know.
I did. I retired from running everything. I just like creating continents. I like creating continents for you all.
He likes incontinence.
Much like the guy who drew that last Sonic the Hedgehog strip, I like incontinence. With that being said, let's get out of here. Thank you very much, everyone, and good night.
Good night.